Welcome to a parallel project training APM project management qualification podcast based on the APM Body of Knowledge 6th edition. You should be using this in conjunction with our e-learning, study guide and potentially a tutor-led course. For more information, please visit www.parallelprojecttraining.com.
Hello, my name's Paul Neighbour and welcome to another Parallel Project Training podcast. Today we're working through the new APM Project Management qualification. And John Bolton's with me again. Hello, John.
Hello.
So we're going to do the first topic, which is distinguishing project management and business as usual. So this comes up quite often in the exam, so it's worth spending a little bit of time on. So what are the main give me an example of a project and
I think you just need
business as usual.
to distinguish between two things, you need to understand both of them.
Yes, that's true. Should we do business as usual first?
No. Do projects first.
All right.
Yeah. Projects are characteristics of projects are that they are finite timescale, finite budget. You get resources for the purposes of running the project when you need them, and you don't use them when you don't. They're there to introduce change. They're unique and they are temporary. And all those things, right? So, project would be to build a prototype aircraft.
Yes.
Okay, and the reason it's a prototype aircraft because once you go into manufacturing loads more of the aircraft, if it's a successful prototype, then you are in what's business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
When you design a new washing machine, that's a project. When you build 5,000 washing machines a day, that's not a project. That's business as usual.
Yes.
And the reason you differentiate is because you need different things. You need different mindset and different people.
Different processes.
Operations
Management has its own long tradition going back to mass manufacturing and lean manufacturing, all that sort of
Model T Fords and that sort of thing.
That's right.
Yeah, so operations want different things to project managers. If you imagine you're running a washing machine factory in Swindon.
Yes.
You're going in the morning, quite happy. Everything's
clock on.
And that's right. You clock on. And you
walk up to your machine you were at yesterday and you start pressing metal.
Let's not diss the operations managers, But I mean, yeah, what you don't want. What you want is continuity, consistency. You don't want anything to go wrong. You want all your washing machines to pass quality control standards at the end, and everyone to be happy with them. And then one day a project manager turns up and says, "Right, I'm moving your factory to Bratislava." How happy are you? It's and that's the difference, really, because what a project manager wants sort of revolutionary change rather than evolutionary change.
That's right. So operations is about optimizing. So if you look at the operations body of knowledge, it's about maximizing small improvements along the way, all the time.
That's right. Slow, continuous improvement, incremental change.
That's right.
Don't chuck the baby out with the bathwater, all that sort of thing.
That's right.
Whereas project managers have got a budget to get on with something, and they've been tasked by their sponsor to go and get on with it. And that's what they'll try and do.
Yes.
And that brings them into conflict sometimes with the business.
That's right. Well, it usually involves some cross-functional change, doesn't it? So you usually get people from more than one department coming together to implement the change.
That's right.
Moving your factory to Bratislava is definitely going to have an impact on HR and IT and
that's right. So you hear
supply chain and logistics.
Yeah. So you hear the term project come up quite a lot, and you hear the term business as usual come up quite a lot, and basically that's the difference. Is you get business as usual departments, things like HR or finance or commercial or people like that, and they're not project orientated. They might run projects, but they're not overtly there to just do projects. Whereas the project managers, that's their role in life.
Yes,
and that's one of the big differences. The differences between them are fairly semantic, really. I mean, the projects introduce change. They're limited by time. They have key subject matter experts employed to prepare bespoke plans, specifications, and manage the risk at the time. Specified scope, specific deliverables, discrete number of steps, usually called a life cycle. They want a step change in transformation, and they require an authorised business case because they're going to cost money. Whereas business as usual, stable platform, repetitive, continuous, highly procedural. Projects write their procedures once for the project. Business as usual write the procedures once, but they use them for years.
Yes, and they keep evolving them and improving them.
That's right. So they produce specific deliverables, but it's repetitive. They go through a life cycle, but it's usually a product life cycle. So the product evolves, but the project, the actual manufacturing doesn't. And consistency, slow incremental improvement. And it's usually, interestingly, usually the term OPEX, don't you? You have OPEX and CAPEX budgets,
Yes,
capital
yes.
expenditure and operational expenditure.
I think the confusing area where people get confused is when they're on a long-term project.
Yeah.
So if you've got a 10-year project, or one of my clients is building houses for the British Army, and it's been going on for, I think it's a 15-year project, and it begins to feel like business as usual.
That's right. Yeah.
So they're going, well, it's not temporary and it's not unique, and it's, well, I've done this for the last 5 years, but then it does actually finish. Yes. Whereas potentially, working in Tesco's, for instance, you could be working in a Tesco's for the whole of your career at the checkout, and the job would effectively stay the same.
Yes, that's right.
And so I think sometimes when you've got those mega projects, I was laughing when you talked about battle tanks, because one of our clients manufactures battle tanks, and it's so complicated that actually they have to treat it like a project, because each one is aber design thing, Right. And I know in aircraft manufacturing as well, that's more like building an aircraft is on that barrier. So I think for the exam you have to think manufacturing, working in Tesco's, or building a bridge. And so the two ends of the spectrum are quite rare.
That's right.
But demonstrate the difference. But a lot of us work in a sort of blur in the middle, where we might have bits that are manufacturing and bits that are not ongoing, and then bits that are about change, really. So,
I mean, the trouble with answering that question is, how do you format your answer?
Yes.
Do you write what a project is on the left-hand side and what business usually on the right-hand side?
Whereas is a good question to put in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so
that's good,
projects are unique. Yes, and they have a difference. Whereas business as usual is sort of ongoing and fairly similar.
Yeah, it would depend on what the question was. If it was state, that would be okay. Yes. If it was explain, you might have a bit of a problem.
You can then waffle.
Yes.
You can then say a bit more.
Didn't take us very long to say that, did it?
So you can then say, well, why is it important that projects are unique, etc. So, cool. So I think the whereas works quite well, because otherwise you're sort of trying to it doesn't quite work. So
I think the key to this is understanding the problems that you have running projects.
Yes.
And where it brings you into conflict with the business.
Yes.
And one of the example questions is, what difficulties might a project manager encounter when running a project in a well-established operational business?
Yes.
Full stop. Question
What
mark.
might the answers be?
Wow. Yes. I mean, all the questions about
it's politics.
Yeah.
Resistance to change.
Procedures. Resistance to change.
Procedures.
Getting resources.
Getting resources,
because you quite often need the functional departments to give you resources and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yes.
So there's that's one way of coming at it, really, because all those sorts of problems. Anyone that's run a project in a well-established business knows all that.
Yes.
And to a degree, if you are an experienced project manager, you don't need to be experienced to do the exam, but if you are, you can fall back on some of that, because you don't start quoting too much of what you do, mind you. So it's a theoretical exam. It's knowledge based. It's not, you can use little examples from what you do, but don't dwell on, specifics too much.
Yes. Okay. It's the jargon that confuses the examiners, I suspect.
So,
good.
That's a nice, easy one.
It was, wasn't it?
We hope you enjoyed this podcast and found it informative. To order a study guide, e-learning, or a tutor-led course to go with this podcast, please visit www.parallelprojecttraining.com.